Toronto's Ukrainian community held a rally at Nathan Phillips Square today as Ukraine prepares to mark 3 years since Russia's invasion. Many reflected on the lives that have been impacted and on what the future looks like amid peace talks. Some saying what happens next there could have a huge impact on Canada's security and future. Brittany Billette has our story.
Standing together to mark a somber anniversary, nearly 3 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, an event that's changed the lives of so many.
My mom is there. My mom is 80 years old, and she is staying in her native small town because she says, if everybody leaves, who will stay here? Who will support Ukraine?
I'm trying to be the voice of prisoners of the war, especially the defenders of Mariupol, who have been in captivity for more than 1,000 days, this attendee says. Organizers say 15,000 people came together at Nathan Phillips Square in solidarity with their families and community in Ukraine, including local dignitaries.
Ukraine must win. Putin must be defeated, and Canada will stand with Ukraine until that happens.
The Ukrainian flag will continue to fly out there until Ukraine win the war and triumph.
Many expressed their gratitude for Canada's support of the war effort and resettling Ukrainian refugees, but they stressed that more needs to be done.
This support is not enough, not because we are not grateful, but because the war still goes on. That's why we're calling on Canadians, on our Canadian partners, please do more.
People here say Canada's leadership is especially crucial right now as Ukraine's strongest ally, the United States, threatens to upend the odds, with U.S. President Donald Trump throwing blame at Ukraine and President Volodymyr Zelensky, some comparing that hostility to what's happening between Canada and the U.S.
Canadians are paying with their wallets. Ukrainians will pay with their lives. And so we need to communicate to our political leaders that now more than ever, Canada must join the Europeans in standing firm with Ukraine.
And they say the stakes of the war are high, not just for the freedom of Ukrainians, but also its neighboring countries and even Canadians.
As we get warmer days and the Arctic becomes opened up, all of a sudden what happens? Russia will turn around and say, I can go to the Arctic. The West won't attack us. Let's go take a piece at a time. Let's go take more.
And this expert agrees that Canada's role in the war has a direct impact on its own future.
We talk about the North strong and free. It doesn't come free. It costs. And we cannot fulfill those responsibilities for our own sake unless we get to that necessary defense spending. And we are not even remotely close to the minimum 2%. So consequently, what Canada has to do is we need to very sharply increase our defense spending.
It's a war some thought would only last a few days, but is now entering its 4th year. It's since become the bloodiest in Europe since World War II. Despite that, there's still hope among people here that there can be peace. Brittany Blatt, CBC News, Toronto.
In the wake of harsh criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today said he was willing to trade the presidency for peace. The CBC's Chris Brown has the latest from on the ground in Kyiv.
Hardly anyone in Ukraine believes Vladimir Putin wants peace, especially after Russia launched the largest drone attack of the war overnight on Kyiv and other cities. But Donald Trump claims he does, and so on Sunday, President Volodymyr Zelensky simultaneously tried to repair his strained relationship with the U.S. president while laying down some new red lines. We are partners, and I want Trump to be on our side, said Zelensky, after Trump called him a dictator. But Zelensky also said Ukraine would not agree to Trump's demand to hand over a reported $500 billion in rights to critical minerals for previous U.S. military assistance Trump now considers a loan. In simple words, it's a loan with 100% interest, said Zelensky. When the U.S. sells weapons to Israel, Qatar, or Saudi Arabia, do they earn 100% profit? The back and forth over the terms of peace is being followed closely by injured soldiers, like Sergei. A Russian artillery shell ripped apart his leg. 15 centimeters of bone is missing. I became a disabled veteran so that our country and my child can live and feel safe, he said, rather than waiting for our neighbor to attack again. Of course, we need security guarantees. Another soldier from this Kyiv rehab clinic, who goes by the moniker Historian, had his ankle shattered by a Russian drone in December. Trump is mistaken, and Putin will definitely lie to him, he said. But if Trump pulls U.S. support, he says it will have far-reaching consequences. This clinic is run by an American volunteer, Hushan White, who's lived in Ukraine for 30 years. She says many here feel despair at what she sees as U.S. pressure tactics.
The manipulation and the lies and just how Ukrainians are being used for the gain of other people.
Monday, on the third anniversary of Russia's invasion, Zelensky will host a major gathering of European leaders here in Kyiv, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to join them. Chris Brown, CBC News, in Kyiv.
Back here at home, the provincial election campaign is entering its final days, and on the last weekend before Ontarians head to the polls, PC leader Doug Ford is being criticized for comments he made about emergency room waits. The CBC Toronto's Sean Jeffords has the story.
Doug Ford surrounded by a crowd of workers at Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie, announcing a $500 million fund to help process critical minerals in Ontario. But it was comments Ford made on emergency room crowding that has the PC leader under fire today.
I talked to emergency doc the other day. He told me, Doug, I said, why is there a lineup emergency doc? He says 50% of the people shouldn't be in here. You got a little scrape on your knee or whatever, they should be at a clinic down the street.
And a moment later, Ford recounted the advice he gave to a Niagara resident who called him upset about ER waits in that region.
I said, ma'am, what's wrong? How can I help you? She said, I have a bad, really sore throat. I said, respectfully, that's the problem right there. Do not go to the emergency department for a sore throat.
Crowding in Ontario's emergency rooms has been a persistent problem for years. Waits can top 20 hours in places, and some rural ERs have closed at night and on weekends because of staffing shortages. The Ontario Medical Association says that 2.5 million people in the province don't have a family doctor, which contributes to the problem. The PCs say they're spending billions on healthcare to ease those waits. But NDP leader Marit Stiles says Ford's comments are insulting because he's blaming Ontarians for the problem.
This just shows you how deeply out of touch Doug Ford is with where things are at in Ontario today, and particularly with how bad things are in our hospitals and our emergency rooms. I mean, ask any parent, myself included, what it's like to take your kid to the emergency room right now, anywhere in this province. If you're lucky to find one open, you're going to be waiting there for 10, 22 hours, even in the big cities.
Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie says the remarks show Ford doesn't understand the problem.
Where does he want them to go, quite frankly? They go to the ER because they don't have a family doctor, because this is a situation that he has created. They go to the ERs to get their children's fevers checked out, to get antibiotics or to address a wound, because they don't have a family doctor to do all those things for them.
In a recent interview with CBC on ER waits, the past president of the OMA says right now emergency room doctors are seeing patients who simply have nowhere else to go.
We want to see governments commit to getting every single person a doctor so that patients aren't using emergency departments because they don't have any other choice. And so we want to see that real commitment to that, both in dollars and as well as in policy.
Ontarians go to the polls on Thursday. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
And Ontario will elect its 44th government this Thursday. You can join us on election night for special coverage hosted by Dwight Drummond. With the latest results and in-depth analysis, it all gets started at 8 p.m. wherever you watch or stream CBC News. Now, from provincial politics to federal, where Monday and Tuesday are big dates on the Liberal Party calendar. The candidates to replace Justin Trudeau are squaring off in debates. JP Tasker takes this look at where the rivals stand.
Liberal leadership contender Chrystia Freeland is trying to hold off a Mark Carney coronation.
I'm ready to fight for Canada. ready to fight for you.
Releasing a new ad that plays up her prairie roots and her tough early life on the family farm.
You learn you have to do things for yourself to be independent, that it's okay to challenge authority.
Freeland is facing challenges of her own in this race to replace Justin Trudeau. Carney has a commanding lead in money and endorsements. He's pulled in $1.9 million in donations. 83 Liberal MPs are backing his candidacy, and he's drawing big crowds.
Who is ready to stand up for Canada with me?
While Freeland has released a flurry of policy proposals,
We are on the side of rules and borders and not bullies.
her figures are a fraction of Carney's, with about $600,000 raised so far in 26 MP endorsements. Now the two, along with candidates Karina Gould and Frank Baylis, will face off in 2 debates. One in French on Monday and another in English on Tuesday.
This is the moment for Freeland to punch through.
This political watcher says the debates are Freeland's chance to revive her stalled campaign. The stakes are lower for Carney.
I think his lead is probably significant enough that he doesn't have to come out and blow the doors off the place.
The debates come as polls show the Liberals are back in contention after months in the doldrums.
We've gone from, the Conservatives being able to win 200, 230 seats to now it's an open question whether they could actually win a majority government.
The threat of American tariffs has scrambled the electoral equation, says this pollster.
It's much more about the threat that Donald Trump is posing to me, my life, my family.
The winning Liberal candidate will be announced on March 9th, and they'll have an important decision to make. Call an election right away or risk bringing back Parliament to take on Trump in this tariff fight. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
Sofia Kabalia is here with a first look at your weather forecast. Sofia, a bit of a reprieve from the sub-zero temperatures today.
Farah, thanks for that. Yes, we've slowly made it out of the deep freeze. Temperatures are closer to normal for parts of the south, but look, warm, milder air is waiting in the wings. Thunder Bay, surprisingly, you're above the freezing mark for your overnight low. It's thanks to the southerly flow that will come in and behind this Clipper system from the prairies. It'll leave a quick 5 centimeters for those of you in parts of the Nickel Belt and north. But look, areas like Barrie, Bancroft, even the nation's capital region, it's milder and mild enough for a southerly flow to bring rain to those of you there. It's been a while since we've had rain and showers. It'll continue on into Tuesday, spotty showers around parts of the south. But this time of year, we really should have upwards of 50 millimeters of rain through parts of January and February. We've really only seen a drop in the bucket. We have had a ton of snow, though, in line for the second snowiest February on record. We'll talk more about the little bit of snow still to come and really the big warm-up that's on the way. It's going to feel like early March for the next few days. There will be a lot of melt. There will be a lot of slush. There will be some localized flooding as well. Clear out those storm drains now. We'll talk about the freeze that will come back into next weekend, what all of this will do to the snowpack that's on the ground. And I have a treat for you in the long range. I'm actually going to show you how we weighed out and averaged the weight of the current snowpack that's on the ground in the GTA.
Oh boy, looking forward to that. Thanks, Sophia. The runway at Pearson International Airport near Toronto, where a Delta Airlines passenger jet crash landed on Monday, has now reopened. The crash sent 21 people to hospital. All of them have now been released. It also disrupted travel at Canada's busiest airport. A second runway that was closed because of the crash is also expected to reopen soon, and the airport says operations are now back to normal. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada continues to investigate the cause of the crash. In the meantime, 2 passengers on board the flight are now suing Delta Airlines and its subsidiary Endeavour Air. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tonight, Pope Francis remains in critical condition, and concern around his health is growing. Vatican officials say he's also battling kidney issues in addition to pneumonia. Jennifer Yoon has more on the prayers pouring in from around the world.
A desperate prayer for Pope Francis in his hometown cathedral where he led a congregation for 15 years. I'm feeling sad because everything that happens to him feels like it's happening to me, says this parishioner. The 88-year-old Pope remains in critical condition, battling double pneumonia in hospital for over a week now, and asking Catholics for their prayers.
Papa Francesco.
And they are praying at the Vatican, in Nairobi, Kenya, and here in Canada too, home to more than 10 million Catholics.
I'm crying. He's our Papa. Like we love him.
I think he's opened the church a lot, made a lot of reforms, attracted a lot of young people back into the Catholic faith.
This Innu man says he returned to the church, in part because the Pope showed such remorse over residential schools.
Coming to Canada and apologizing was a big part of the reconciliation, I would say.
Doctors are being guarded about the Pope's chances of recovery. He hasn't had any new respiratory crises since Saturday, but blood tests show early signs of kidney failure. In New York, a cardinal saying what officials in Rome aren't.
Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, is in very, very fragile health and probably close to death.
Others say he still could recover. He's alert, well-oriented, and getting medication.
They have him on antibiotics or treatment, whatever the infectious organism is. It could be flu, it could be COVID, it could be a bacterial pneumonia.
It'll take some time to see if those treatments will turn the tide. Catholics around the world hoping their prayers can help too. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
More confusion is swirling around Donald Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency after an email sent out by Elon Musk on Saturday. It appeared to demand that every federal employee explain what they did last week or be fired. But within hours, many were being told to ignore it. Katie Simpson explains.
With every passing day, Elon Musk appears to become even more emboldened. Comfortable enough for this unusual display. His purge of the federal government now expanding and intensifying, he says, by order of the president. Announcing on social media Saturday, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Hours later, millions of workers reportedly receiving a notice saying, please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. The deadline to respond set for Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern.
I don't think that's a big deal, but people are saying, oh, you shouldn't do those kind of things.
Republicans on the Sunday political talk show circuit offered up plenty of support for Musk and the cuts.
He is literally the best entrepreneur we've had in our lifetime, and he's doing it for free. And he's taking an unbiased look, saying these programs make no sense. Let's save the taxpayer dollars and get our house in order.
But Musk's latest order is being met with some resistance. Employees at the FBI, the State Department, and the Department of Defense are being told not to respond to the email for now.
It is illegal, and the actions he's taking are illegal, and we need to shut down this illegal operation.
As fired employees clear out their desks, more lawsuits and legal challenges are expected. All of it prompting one Republican to plead for some humanity.
These are real people. These are real lives. These are mortgages. It's a false narrative to say we have to cut and you have to be cruel to do it as well. We can do both.
Thousands more people are expected to be fired this week. The Pentagon is the next big target. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
In Africa, tens of thousands of people have been forced from their homes because of fighting in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This was the scene last week as families crossed a river from Congo into neighboring Burundi. It's estimated that at least 40,000 people have fled the violence, with many lives lost on the perilous journey. The UN is warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis as more people flee and overwhelm already limited resources. Here at home, community members gathered this weekend at Toronto's Nathan Phillips Square to hold a rally, calling on Canada to do more to help the crisis. Some advocates are encouraging Canadians to reach out to their elected officials and to raise awareness.
We are seeing
and speaking to children and women, especially those who do not have guns, those who do not fight. They are just innocent. Canada has been involved in many, many resolutions of conflicts, and I hope it still has the room to do so.
In previous release statement, Canada's Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, along with her G7 counterparts, wrote that they strongly condemn the Rwanda-backed M23 offensive and called for the protection of civilians. Taking a look at Ottawa this hour, cloudy and feeling like -5. Sophia is back with a look at your forecast for the week. Sophia, a great day for getting outside today, and I hear things are only getting better.
Farah, thanks for that. Yeah, it was a pretty decent weekend around the region for all of the outdoor events. Comparatively speaking to last weekend and all the active weather, temperatures will be lovely this upcoming work week. More early March-like. Boy, has it been a while since we've had rain in the forecast, not only in parts of southern Ontario, but also in parts of the nation's capital region. Don't get too used to the warm-up, though. The deep freeze and the really cool overnight lows are back into next weekend. But first, we got to talk about this melt, this slow thaw that will be on. There will be localized flooding. There will be slick side streets. You got to clear away those storm sewer drains, and boy, is it going to get slushy. You will probably lose about 10 to 15 centimeters of the current snowpack. It is substantial, though. It is comparable to historic winters of years past. It got us thinking, how much do we think that the snowpack over top of the GTA actually weighs? Are you ready for some math? We were up for this today. We had a few meteorologists on the case. We sent 2 observers out in King City and in Burlington. They actually melted down their snowpack to get the snow water content. It was 108 millimeters and 89 millimeters respectively. We averaged that out over the 7,000 square kilometers of the GTA, then found the snow water equivalent conversion, figured out the volume, multiplied it by the number of kilograms to come up with the mass. And are you ready for this whopping number? Are you sitting down? 712 billion kilograms of snow is the weight of all the snow around the GTA. What does that even mean? It would be equivalent to more than 6,000 CN towers, more than 500 million cars is the weight of all the snow over top of the GTA right now. You could actually fill over 200,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools with all of the snowpack water. Farah, that is your water cooler conversation for your Monday morning in the workplace. There you go. Back to you.
No kidding, 6,000 CN towers. Thanks, Sophia. That is your show for tonight. Thank you so much